The dance community is identified as the most obsessively weight-conscious subculture in the country. Dancers are expected to be at peak physical condition while maintaining a minimal weight. They have to be mentally competent to remember combinations and choreography and emotionally ready to handle the pressure to be perfect in every aspect. Because of these pressures, there's no wonder that disordered eating is dangerously common in dance. To get an inside view on the prevalence of eating disorders in dance, I interviewed dance majors at Western Michigan University and health professionals who specialize in the treatment of eating disorders.
Hi, I'm Grace Bielka.
I'm Colleen McElroy.
My name is Taj.
Hi, my name is Danny Matar.
I'm Katie Matar.
Hey, my name is Jesse.
My name is Tessa Cornwall.
My name's Alistair Watt.
My name is Bray McCormick.
I'm a dance major at Western.
Double majoring in dance and social work.
And I'm a dance major.
And I'm a junior in the dance department at Western Michigan University.
I'm a dance major at Western Michigan.
And I'm a dance major.
I'm majoring in dance and exercise science.
Currently studying dance.
And I am a dance major at Western Michigan University.
What effects do you think the dance world has on body image?
We're always told that we need to be in shape and that we need, to go to the gym all the time and that we need to look good in our costumes and look good on stage and basically just to be perfect.
Some parts of the dance world are very brutal on body image, such as ballet and a lot of company work and concert dance. But I don't know. I think dance has just as much negative connotations as it does positive, because it's good for your body holistically and your spirit. So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Well, as a dancer, I'm constantly looking at myself in the mirror and looking at my stomach. If I'm bloated, I feel like I'm not going to dance very well that day. And I think all of us dancers prefer to have a long, lean body because it shows off the lines more. And if you have more meat to you and you're fatter than you want to be, then the lines won't look aesthetically pleasing to the audience.
A lean, long, skinnier image. Yeah, I think that definitely there's constraints to what you need to look like.
The dance world is also pretty harsh in terms of having a stick figure, especially in more specific terms like ballet. I feel like to have an appropriate aesthetic line, I feel like it's almost necessary and needed to have a small, petite figure. And I feel like it's like that in all genres of dance.
Personally, just being around a lot of the guy dancers here, I think I'm one of the most bulky ones in muscle mass, and I don't think I can get roles because of that, unlike them, because they have more leaner bodies. So I think it affects, from the male perspective, what body you're trying to get, because I want to work out more, but I'm scared I'll get too big.
What effects do you think society and the media have on body image?
As a guy, I think that there's an image to be extremely buff and chiseled and kind of, that all-American look that I don't fulfill. And I think that that's kind of a pressured, meat and potatoes kind of look.
Mm-hmm. I think the media completely controls that, because the media tells us how we're supposed to look, how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to think, and it really messes with a young person's ideology. Just going through puberty and that whole awkward time, it's really hard to find yourself when there's so many different media sources telling you who you have to be. So
Everywhere you go, everything you see, all the billboards, all the magazines, it's just skinny, pretty girls. And I think, especially since most of them are airbrushed and photoshopped, it's really hard to like get that image. And that's why a lot of girls like get down on themselves and they want to be like that, but it's like almost impossible, you know? Yeah.
You can start taking girls in early elementary and they'll talk about how they need to go on a diet, they need to be thin, they want to look like, you know, their favorite TV star, and that's huge in terms of body image.
The media is kind of harsh. I feel like they portray the ideal woman as having a really, really skinny body and having tan skin and having really volumized hair, and I think it portrays the woman as a beautiful, well put together, done up woman.
We see eating disorders in children, as young as their elementary school years, and then certainly as old as 80 into their 80s. And I think the media has a lot to do with the increase in the percentage of individuals that have eating disorders, and just the stresses that come about with our modern day living. So it's estimated that around 10% of the population may have an eating disorder.
What is the ideal man or the ideal woman as portrayed by the media?
I think the ideal woman looks like really skinny, thighs don't touch. At least I think that bones are really pretty. I'm kind of guilty for that. I think they can't have any acne. They can't. Growing up, at least, I thought curves weren't very attractive. I know that today it's starting to change, and that's nice, but I think a lot of women think that they can't have meat to them, and they have to be like stick figures like the models and like what you see on Vogue and like all that kind of stuff. And guys have to be really cut, and they can't be lanky looking. They have to look strong so that they fit that like male figure.
Do you think dancers are more prone to develop eating disorders or disordered eating?
As much as I'd like to say no, I feel like yes. Definitely less than it used to be, but I've known a decent amount of dancers who have had eating disorders, and especially ones who are younger, that are like in high school at a ballet school, and they just like feel like they have to be skinny. And you're always looking in the mirror. That's the thing. Like you're always looking at your body and want to have perfect lines.
Dancing in particular is a matter of, it has a large emphasis on appearance. Not too surprising, really, but especially with young dancers, I'm talking about early teens and even pre-teens. Mm-hmm. If they are being taught and coached by people who emphasize thinness, they are going to try and be thin.
There's so much pressure to be thin or to look a certain way that it's almost as if it's suggested at times. Like I've had people tell me, well, maybe you should cut back on the number of meals you're eating, like just cutting them out completely. It's almost suggested by some people.
Like who? What kind of people? In relationship to you?
I've had teachers, dance teachers. I had somebody who I auditioned for basically tell me that I was cut because of my weight, and that I don't take care of my instrument, and that I wouldn't shove cheeseburgers into a violin, so why do I shove cheeseburgers down my throat, kind of a situation.
You're supposed to be like this surreal character. It like doesn't exist in real life. Like they're watching this like fantasy character when you dance, and if you're just an average body type and an average looking person, then it's not exactly what the audience wants, and it's not as interesting, it's not as exciting. So you have to make sure you have to stay on your eating, and you have to stay on your working out. And some people go down that bad path and take it to the extreme where they don't eat and they work out way too much and overdo everything, and that'll do it. That'll lead to eating disorders for sure.
I know a couple of people in the past that have dealt with eating disorders. I've dealt with one myself, and a lot of that came from dance, and just the lifestyle, I guess.
Do you know anyone with an eating disorder or disordered eating?
Yeah, my sister, who's a year younger than me, has an eating disorder right now, and she's been suffering from it for a year. And my cousin, I just found out, has been admitted to a rehab center in Ohio about a month ago, and we didn't really know about it. We just found out, but she's been suffering from anorexia for a couple of months.
I witnessed some of my friends like eating, and like if they obsess about their food too much and they like feel like they're doing really, really good and they're just like small portions and barely eating anything throughout the day, then I noticed that they binge like at night, or like if they have one piece of chocolate, they're just like, oh my God, I have to have more. Like, I already ruined my day anyway, like I might as well continue. And then they just gorge everything down, and then they feel bad about it. And then the next day they try to start clean if they're doing good, and then again they just have that thing that's not right in their diet, at least to their standards. Then they do it all over again, and they just keep this disordered pattern. And I know a lot of people with disordered eating and body dysmorphia, and who have, or at least have had, an eating disorder of some sort. So I don't know. It's just, it feels kind of normal, and I know that's probably not okay. So, yeah.
My sister became really antisocial. She would go up in her room a lot, and she wouldn't come down. And when we would have family dinners, like on Sundays and stuff, she wouldn't eat. She'd kind of pick at her food, and she'd say she wasn't hungry. She said she'd already eaten, like excuses. And she kind of started to distance herself from us and our family and her friends, a lot of her really close friends. She would avoid going out and stuff because I guess she just didn't want to eat or be in that situation.
What about your cousin? Do you know if her behavior has changed?
She got a little, like, it was different than my sister. It's not that she became antisocial, but she came kind of like almost like cranky. Like she got like more sensitive, more moody. And it was weird because normally we're used to her being so bubbly and happy, and then she was just kind of like whatever, like that all the time. And so it did. She changed a little bit.
Parents need to watch. Parents, friends, teachers, people, coaches, people like that need to watch for, clearly weight loss. Need to watch for skipped meals. Need to watch for all of a sudden they're vegetarian when they'd never had any interest in, animal welfare or anything before. All of a sudden healthy eating. Those are all things that need to be paid attention to by parents or for adults who care about these kids.
My sister has a lot of insecurity. She isn't stick thin, but she's healthy, But I think she gets down on herself. She thinks she's too big, and she thinks she's not pretty or not beautiful, and so it causes her to not want to eat and to take diet pills and, hurt herself, basically. My cousin is kind of a mystery. I'm not really sure, because we just found out. We think there were a lot of pressure, like it was just a lot of stress. It wasn't so much that she wanted to be thin. I think she was just stressed out, and that's how she took it out on herself, by just not eating, like something she could control.
Did she lose a lot of weight?
Oh yeah, like we thought she was sick. We thought she had a stomach problem, but we found out that wasn't the case. Well, I know like one girl in particular, she is a senior in high school, and I would like take class with her sometimes, and she would have to like sit out like halfway through class sometimes just because she like didn't eat anything and like didn't have enough energy to keep dancing. And she like didn't look like she was really sick, but it's not even just about what you look like. I knew that she was like throwing up all the time. So it's just like it makes your dancing worse. So I noticed that she could have been a stronger dancer if she would just like take in more and eat well rather than not eating or throwing it up, and then it actually affects her dancing in a bad way.
What is your own personal story with how body image has affected you?
Well, I didn't work out until, at first I didn't work out, and then when I realized what the ideal body type was in society or in the dance world is when I would try to work out. I changed my diet. I would read health books, and like in high school there was a moment or a time, maybe a year, where it affected me, and I guess I would say I had a different kind of eating disorder then. I feel like that I shortened my portions really small, and I ate like healthy food, but I don't think I gave myself enough food.
If I noticed that my bones were showing more, especially on my chest and like in my arms, like I thought that was beautiful. So I like kept that sort of diet or whatever I was doing at that time. I think I've had disordered eating habits ever since junior high, honestly.
When they look at identical or monozygotic twins versus just dizygotic and siblings, the incident correlation is higher in those identical twins than it is in fraternal twins but raised in the same environment. So fraternal twin would have the same risk as if you had just a sibling, but if you have an identical sibling, it's even higher.
When I was really thin, I was 105. So, and I'm pretty sure that the summer before I was like 125, 130. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, my family noticed that I would lose weight, and they asked me questions because it was kind of fast. It was like that like maybe that first half of the year where I lost like, I don't know, like I want to say like 25 pounds maybe.
I tend to, in the past, go on like eating binges where I'd eat a lot of food and I'd regret it, and I'd go to the bathroom and purge, and it's very like, it's really hard to deal with because for me it was only like, it was if I eat too much. I wouldn't do it on a regular basis, so it wasn't a problem. Or it was more just that like it was a very control-oriented thing. Like when I felt like I was out of control of my eating, that's how I took control back. But kind of gotten away from all of that. And it was never a regular basis thing, but it's something I've struggled with because it's something that you hear about and it's like so easy to do. So it's something I still struggle with. Like it's still something that's always there in the back of your mind, especially as a dancer.
When I was in 6th grade, I would always hold, I think I'm really good at holding my core in, because when I was in 6th grade, I would just suck my stomach in all day and I wouldn't breathe. I would be like, if only someone could just shave off a couple of inches from the width of me, like I could suck in my stomach forever and nobody would think I was fat. And I was like, wow, like why was I even thinking like that? And then I thought, like it's okay, like I can be a fat kid when I'm a kid, but when I'm old enough, I'm gonna have enough money to get a bypass surgery. As a dancer, you don't have much control besides your body. Like you're told what to do all day, and I don't know. I realize that's not really the lifestyle for me. For where my mental state is, like I need to be able to breathe and not feel so much pressure. So,
from the age of 12, I can remember like starting to make like food diaries and stuff of what I had eaten and counting calories and just things like that. And just through the years, things had like progressively gotten worse, and I, from that age had disordered eating already, and slowly it just kept getting worse. By the time I came to college, I was going between like the restrictive eating and like the binge eating, and I knew I had a problem and I was really unhappy, but you know, I was still at an average weight. I was fine. So no one knew anything was going on, and it's really shameful, so you don't want to ask anyone for help, and you don't want to bring it up. So I just like kept it all in, and I was like, you know, I can deal with this. It's okay. But you know, my like sophomore year, it got really bad, and I just completely like swung into restrictive eating and lost a ton of weight. And you know, people really started to notice, and I got really underweight, and that was when like things got really bad, and it went from disordered eating into like full-blown eating disorder. And that's when I really realized like I was a prisoner in my mind. Like I couldn't focus on anything except for, you know, what have I eaten today? Like I was counting every single calorie that, you know, I was putting in my body. I like made myself sign up for like 1 million technique classes that semester, because I was like, I need to exercise as much as I can, like even though I was physically exhausted because I wasn't barely eating anything, you know. And it was awful. And on top of that, I was so depressed. I was isolating myself, and I barely talked to anyone. I would just go home and lock myself in my room and sleep. Like, that was my life.
Well, I was in 8th grade, and I thought I was fat. I was like, you know, everyone goes through like their like chunky stage. Like I wasn't fat at all. I just was kind of like chubby. And then I like started eating less and like working out more. And then I noticed that I was losing weight. So then I was like, oh, this is working. So then I kind of just kept eating less and less and less. And then like it got down to where I was eating like probably 400 calories a day. And I was like trying to do cardio all the time. And I would like avoid social events and stuff, and like tell my parents like that I felt sick or whatever. And I got down to, I was like maybe, I don't know, like 98 pounds or something. And I got down to like 75. And I was like really, really small. And all my friends and my parents were like telling me like, you're so skinny. But like I didn't really like care, because I just cared about what I saw. And that wasn't until like my dance teacher approached me, and then I was like, okay, like obviously something's wrong. So then it actually probably took 3 years to get like fully better. Like I was eating more and I was like better because I knew I had to get better, but like mentally I wasn't better until probably like halfway through freshman year in college. And then freshman year in college I weighed like 87 pounds, and then I gained like 33 pounds in like a year. So like right now I'm weigh like 120. So that's like a lot more than last year, but I'm like, I've never been this happy with the way I look, because like I know that I'm healthy, and I like, it's like all muscle. So I guess once I actually started getting better is once I realized that I looked better once I started eating more.
I'm a firm believer in a team approach to eating disorders. And so I really look at, obviously, the client as being the pinpoint, and then there needs to be a medical component, a psychological component, and then a nutrition component to things. So the dietitian obviously takes care of the nutrition component and really looks at, you know, historically, what has that individual eaten, what types of eating patterns and habits has gone on in the past, where they're currently at, and you know, where they need to be.
How did you know that it was finally time to get help?
I knew it was time to get help when I was just so miserable. I was crying all the time. I was just constantly laying in my bed. Just my brain would not turn I couldn't think, and I
I knew I wasn't living anymore, and I just knew I couldn't go another day with this being my life, and that something had to change. Started seeing a therapist and a dietitian, and tried that for a while, but it was too much to do, so I went into a treatment facility and had to take a year off of school, but I did that. It was a residential treatment facility, so it was, you stay there. Being in treatment was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was also the best experience that I've had in my life thus far. I've learned so much about myself, like good and bad. But it was really hard because you dig so deep into everything that has happened in your life, and you have to learn how to accept yourself for, all your flaws, and that's something that everyone needs to do, and not everyone does it because it is so hard, and yeah, it's a lot to take in, but it was so worth it.
What can be done to change the prevalence of disordered eating and eating disorders in dance?
I would say having the teachers make sure that you're not being unhealthy. Like if your professor notices that you keep getting skinny, make sure if you were overweight and you were getting skinnier, to make sure you're doing it in a healthy way. Or if you notice that someone's getting too skinny, to be able to approach your student, because I know that helped me when I was in high school, because I was getting really skinny, and my teacher actually told me that I should stop losing weight. So I think that plays a big role. It's just having the support from your teachers, knowing that it's okay.
If kids that go to dance studios and their kids and stuff, if they were given some kind of nutrition classes and maybe some maybe not therapy, but group sessions where they could talk about how they feel about themselves, and what they can do with dance, even if they don't want to be a prima ballerina, but just I think if people knew what the options were in the field, that they would explore those more so without the perception that they have to be 60 pounds,
Mm-hmm. If I could go back and change the day that I opened that health book, I would want to ease into it, or maybe not go so extreme, maybe not eliminate all the sugar from my diet, and I wish I would just take it easy. That way by today, I would probably have it down packed. It would be habitual. I wouldn't need to struggle with it like I am now, because it's been so long, so many years wasted. So yeah, I think I would just go back to, I think it was 8th grade when I really started watching what I ate. So.
An active approach must be taken to change the idealization of body image in dance, to help prevent the development and progression of eating disorders among dancers. What are some pieces of advice that you can give to other dancers who feel pressure to be thin and are prone to disordered eating or eating disorders?
Just love yourself. Be honest. Know your limits. Take a break. Eat a Snickers.
The self-acceptance, self-awareness, making sure you know who you are. I think that one of the best things that I could give young people that I know, my daughters in particular, is a sense of self-worth and self-esteem. So really working on that self-esteem component.
Strive for being healthy and having your body in a condition where it will work well. It's hard sometimes to ignore other people's ideas of what you look like, but you need to be healthy before anything else.
Don't take the unhealthy route. If you're looking to get fitter or skinnier, take a safe route, especially one you can enjoy, working out, eating right, and you can cut calories and gain the same source of vitamins and proteins, but from different kinds of foods.
Powerful, well-mechanic bodies don't necessarily need to be waif thin and lean. And you know, when you're in a sport that you know, you're jumping and you're turning and you're up on point and you're doing things that requires a lot of physical strength, as you lose weight, you're also losing muscle mass, and that's going to be affecting your performance as well. So, you know, I'd love to see that body image kind of flip to what is it my body can do and what do I do well versus what is it that it looks like. And that's a huge thing to try and get across to parents of young adolescent kids and to kids who are in sports.
Learn about yourself. Learn about your, physically, it's just as important to learn during the years, adolescence into young adulthood, to learn about what works for you physically and psychologically and emotionally.
It's not as bad as it looks on the inside. Like, no one is thinking anything that you're thinking. It's all in your head, everything, especially if you have, a lot of people have at least a minor case of body dysmorphia. It's not as bad as you think it is. You're taking it to an extreme, and everyone is beautiful. I know everyone says that, but everyone is beautiful. There's not one particular way that you have to look, and if you don't look the way that you want to look, that's fine. If you want to work on it, you can go ahead and do that, but you don't have to hurt yourself to do it, and I think you can focus on other things.
I feel like if you have confidence in yourself, like, you could be really beautiful and hold yourself differently, and then, and maybe be a normal, average-looking girl, and if you have confidence and hold yourself well, then I feel like you're beautiful.
Like, some people have a small waist and some people don't, so it's like you can't look at someone and say, that's what I want to look like, because even if you stop eating, you're never going to look like that. Like, you're just going to look like a sicker version of yourself.
Love yourself. Like, you're never going to get anywhere if you don't like yourself. You have to still, even if you don't think you're as healthy as you can be, or you don't think you're, as thin as you can be, you still have to like yourself. And then you'll want to do good things to yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah, like, if you like who you are, you're just going to be like, I just want to treat my body right, so I'm going to exercise. I'm going to maybe eat some fruit or whatever. But, like, if you're just down on yourself, you're like, man, I just don't look good, you're just going to get negative effects out of it. You're going to push yourself too hard.
If you're feeling pressure, you should go and talk to someone before anything gets out of hand, because if it ever starts to spiral, it's going to be so much harder to get back to a healthy place if you're already down really far.
Would be to know the resources that are out there. There is help out there. Here at Western, we have got all of the components of an eating disorder team. We've got the medical component, the social component, the nutrition component. Here in the community, we've got all those components available. So we're really lucky in this area to have the resources available. And in most areas, within a reasonable driving distance, you can get to a clinic, or you can get to individuals that can help someone with an eating disorder.